Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with duck fat steak fries. That's right, as it's gonna say on one of the t-shirts in my new spring fashion line, duck fat is the new butter. And I realized there was nothing wrong with the old butter, but this delicious fat is now readily available in most large grocery stores. And as you'll see, it makes one amazing batch of crusty oven-roasted potato wedges, also known as steak fries. And I should warn you, even though these are extremely tasty, they're also very easy to do. And we're going to get started by melting a little bit of this. There it is, rendered duck fat. And as I take off the lid, you're probably noticing a couple things. It looks like he uses this a lot. And it also looks like he scoops it out of this thing with small fingertip-shaped spoons. So I'm going to put a couple tablespoons in this ramekin, and we're just going to put that in the microwave for like 20 seconds. And there you go. That's melted and ready to pour over our potatoes. Speaking of which, there they are. 2 large russet potatoes. In my opinion, that's the variety that's going to work the best here. And we're going to go ahead and cut these into wedges in a very specific manner. We're going to want to cut through this narrow side, not across the flat side. If you cut it that way, they're a lot harder to make in the wedges. So turn the potato up on its side and cut through the center like that, and that will give you 2 nice wide halves. And because those halves are going to be wider and flatter, it's going to be much simpler to cut it into even-sized pieces. All right, so once we have our 2 wide flat sections, we're going to cut those in half, and then each one of those wedges gets cut in half. But watch how I'm cutting this. Instead of trying to get that knife exactly on that edge, which is really hard, offset your knife just slightly and cut it like that. I find that much easier to get uniform wedges, but suit yourself. You are, after all, the Darth Vader of your potato. But anyway, we're going to cut those into wedges, and if you're good at math like me, you'll realize we're going to get 8 steak fries from each potato, so 16 total here. And once those are cut, we're going to go ahead and throw those in a bowl, where we will season them very generously with kosher salt, a little touch of cayenne. Hey, why not? And some freshly ground black pepper. And then we'll go ahead and drizzle over that melted duck fat. And in case you're wondering, no, duck fat does not taste like duck. It really doesn't have any kind of strong flavor at all. It just adds a richness and a subtle meatiness to the potato that's just really a beautiful thing. And then we're going to get in there with our bare hands and mix those until they're thoroughly coated. And of course, this is edited, so take your time. Make sure you've achieved total and full smerification. And once those potatoes are coated, they're pretty much ready for the oven. Although this would be the perfect point in the procedure to possibly add some fresh herb if you have it around, and I did. I had some fresh thyme sprigs, so I put a little bit of that in. And as soon as that was mixed in, we're going to go ahead and transfer these onto a foil-lined baking sheet. And of course, you're going to want to space those evenly, but more importantly, we want the skin side down. So we're going to lay these down on the tray, angle up, skin down. And then before we pop them in, I'm going to give them one more sprinkling of kosher salt, just to be safe. The ratio of undersalted potato dishes versus oversalted potato dishes is like 8,000 to 1. So big chunks of potato like this are going to need a little bit of salt. And at that point, we're going to pop them in a 325-degree oven for 40 minutes. All right, this is just the first phase of baking. Not a lot's going to happen. And after 40 minutes at 325, they're going to look something like this. No, that does not look good yet. But that's okay. This first phase of the cooking is just to soften them up a little bit and prepare them for the final crustification. So at this point, we're going to flip them over on their side. And by the way, while you're turning these on their side, go ahead and raise the temperature of the oven to 450. All right, we're going to finish these in a very hot oven. That's one of the secrets. And then once those have been turned on their side and the oven's up to temperature, we're going to pop those in for 10 minutes. And as you can see from my new oven cam, those potatoes are going to start frying in that duck fat. And in a very short time, these things are going to start looking significantly more awesome. So we'll give them 10 minutes on that side at 450. We're going to pull them out. We're going to flip them over. Oh yeah, now that's starting to look good. And once those have all been turned, we're going to pop those back in the 450-degree oven for another 10 minutes. And at that point, they should be done. And they should look like this. That totally looks like something you would like to eat. Now, you really don't have to let these rest, but what I like to do when they come out is flip them over one more time. So the side that was up and at this point maybe a little drier, I turn over so it gets one last kiss of that beautiful duck fat. And as I'm turning these, I think you can kind of hear how beautifully crusted they are. And at that point, you're going to go ahead and transfer those onto some appropriately sized platter. Maybe we'll go around and garnish with some extra thyme sprigs. Why? Because it's on our side. And those duck fat steak fries are done. And I'm not really sure if these are called steak fries because they're such large pieces of potato or because they're good with steak. But regardless, you are in for a very, very high quality potato experience. Just a beautiful combination of a light, fluffy, creamy inside, just like a baked potato. And of course, it's all encased in that crusty, borderline crunchy exterior, which is of course a truly fantastic combination. But anyway, go out and find some duck fat. You'll be very glad you did, trust me. And when you do, I hope you give these very impressive duck fat steak fries a try. So head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.